Hey guys, it is the end of August already, can you believe it? That means it is high time for a wrap up, but before I do that, quick disclaimer, I'm filming this a little bit early, so that I have time to get ready to move back to college. So there might be like one book that I managed to squeeze in this last week. I don't know, but I'm just gonna tell you everything I have done up to this point. But anyways, on to the video. During the first week of August, my parents and I went on a vacation to Lake George in New York, which was really fun, and I brought 3 books with me, and I finished all of them. The first one that I read was The Museum of Extraordinary Things by Alice Hoffman. This book takes place in New York in 1911 and follows 2 main protagonists. One is a girl who lives on Coney Island with her father, and her father runs this Museum of Extraordinary Things. The other is a young boy who immigrated to the US with his father and ends up becoming a photographer. This was a sort of slower paced read for me, but it was really interesting getting to know our main characters and all of the side characters, many of whom were oddities who worked at the Museum of Extraordinary Things. It was also really interesting to see some of the historical moments that took place in that year from the eyes of someone who was actually experiencing it at the time. For example, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory that set on fire. I've learned about that and all the stuff with Tammany and all this other stuff in school, but seeing it through the eyes of someone who's literally watching these girls jump out of windows to their ultimate doom, it was kind of terrifying, and it was just so fascinating to see these things in a more real way. It was a little frustrating for me that the 2 main characters didn't really meet until right near the end, and it was a bit insta-lovey for my taste. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, I think, on Goodreads. The next book that I picked up is a classic, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. As you can see, this is a pretty small book, but it took me actually quite a while to get through it because it does read like a classic, and there are a lot of unfamiliar terms and names that I had to kind of take my time reading to actually make sure I was reading it right. I don't really like the main character that much, but it was really cool to get immersed in such a completely different society than what I'm used to. Also, seeing the beginnings of white colonialism in their village through their eyes was way more interesting and insightful than most other books I read, because most books where you hear about that sort of thing, it's from the white perspective, not the native perspective. So that was really fascinating to see their side of the story. I can definitely see why this story was so well acclaimed, and I definitely appreciated it and did end up enjoying it. After that, I picked up Every Day by David Levithan. The premise of the story is that our main character, just called A, wakes up in a different body and different life every single day. A has never known anything different, and usually every time it inhabits a new person, it tries to just make that day as normal as possible. It tries not to interfere with their lives. All of that changes when A wakes up in Justin's body and gets to know Justin's girlfriend. A falls in complete insta-love with this girl. All of a sudden, A is breaking all of their own rules to try and see this girl again. I did like this book. I think I gave it 3.5 or 4 on Goodreads. It was such an interesting concept, and I had such mixed feelings about A, and I actually kind of liked that. I kind of liked that there were a lot of things I agreed with and liked about A, and a lot of things that I just really didn't. It kind of kept it interesting for me trying to decide, what do I really think of this character? I'm not a big fan of insta-love, so I wasn't that on board with a lot of the things that A was doing. I think that the don't interfere policy that A had was a good one, but then again, it's not really fair to A to not be able to have a life at all and not be able to do anything with their own identity, so I definitely was glad that there wasn't anything clear-cut in this book. There's a lot of wisdom and a lot of really great quotes from this as well. Anyway, I did like this book, and I finished it, fittingly, all in one day in the car on the way home from vacation. The next book that I picked up was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This was the Booksplosion book of the month this month. I read this super quickly because I couldn't put it down. I absolutely loved it. Essentially, this book is about 2 kids who were trained since childhood to be incredible magicians and illusionists, and they are in competition with one another. Their venue is this incredible magical night circus, and we see their whole journey through it, and it's intense. The thing that was so cool about this book for me was that I wasn't just invested in the characters, I became genuinely attached to the circus itself. Morgenstern has you take a grand tour of the place over and over, and every time you go back, there's something new and exciting to explore. I've never wanted to see a place in real life so badly. I am hoping to do a full review on this, so if I've already done so, you can click here. Otherwise, guess watch for that. Once again, I give it 5 out of 5 stars, so I would definitely pick this up if if you have not. The next few books I picked up were the remaining 3 books in the Giver Quartet that I had never read. So from the library, I picked up Gathering Blue, the 2nd book in the Giver Quartet, The Messenger, the 3rd book in the quartet, and Sun, the last and 4th book in the quartet. I'm only halfway through Sun right now, but by the time you actually see this, I will have finished it. I'm assuming that within the next 2 days. I will be done with this book. I've definitely really enjoyed these books so far. The Giver is still my favorite out of the 4 currently, but it was really interesting to dive further into this universe. You see a whole different community in Gathering Blue, and you don't really know what the connection is between this and the Giver until you get to the Messenger, but I really liked exploring that new community and then seeing how it all starts to fit together in Messenger. Sun is even filling in a few more of those gaps and just bringing just the entire thing sort of together, and I'm hoping that by the time I reach the end, I will feel like this is actually kind of concluded. All of these books offer really interesting perspectives on what it means to be human and what societies should or shouldn't be. They all make you ask pretty big questions, and they really stick with you after you finish them. She explains all these sort of complex ideas in such an accessible way, and her writing is just beautiful. So these have all just been really fantastic to get through. As soon as I finish Sun, I will probably be doing a full series review for these as well. So that brings my total book count to 7 once I finish Sun. I'm missing one of them from my pile right now, but I'm really glad that I've been able to kind of keep up this pace of like 7 or 8 a month, which has been crazy and awesome. I'm not going to do a September TBR just because I genuinely have no idea how much time I'm going to have. As you're watching this, I'm probably moving myself back into college, and there's a lot of things I need to do this month. So I'm gonna leave it completely open. That being said, a lot of people have been doing a sort of back to school books thing. They're showing what they're gonna bring with them to college, so I'll just do that, and then it's pretty safe to assume that whatever I am reading will be from this pile. I don't live that far from school, so I'm limiting myself to 10 so that I don't have to pack that many, and I'll just exchange them out as I get through them. And so the 10 books that I'm bringing with me are Innocent Mage by Karen Miller, The Resurrectionist by Jack O'Connell, Legend by Marie Lu, if I don't finish it this week, Dragon Keeper and Garden of the Purple Dragon by Carol Wilkinson, my Lord of the Rings bind-up because I still have to read Two Towers and Return of the King, and I don't feel like bringing the separate books, Dracula by Bram Stoker, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, The Dust of 100 Dogs by A.S. King, and The Skin Map by Stephen R. Lawhead. And that about does it. Hope you guys have enjoyed this, and hope that you're not too sad about summer sort of coming to a close. I'm actually very excited about going back to college, so hopefully at least some of you are excited to go back to school like I am. And that is it. Hope you guys have a great day. This has been a wrap-up video. I'm Jackie, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!